News update, the delegates have spoken, the votes are in, and maybe you should book your trip to Chicago, well, if you haven't already, because we have two back-to-back breaking news stories to share with you today. One is the latest update on who Vice President Harris might pick as her vice presidential choice. That's coming up. But first, there's this from Politico overnight with a late breaking update right from the DNC. Kamala Harris will be the only candidate on the Democratic National Committee's virtual roll call ballot for president, cementing her status as the party's all but certain nominee. Convention delegates will begin voting on Harris's nomination on Thursday and finish by August 5th, according to a statement released by the DNC on Tuesday night. The vice president secured support from 3,923 delegates to appear on the virtual ballot. Harris' expected nomination next week marks the end of a dramatic and condensed process that immediately elevated the vice president after President Joe Biden withdrew from the race on July 21st.
We have breaking news here. President Biden has announced he will stand down from the race.
Less than 10 days later, Harris has cleared the field, and her name will be the only one placed in nomination. 3 other candidates filed with the DNC, but they failed to collect the 300 delegate signatures necessary to gain access to the virtual ballot. Harris, Biden's chosen successor, benefited from the compressed timeline. Within 24 hours of announcing her own run, a cascade of Democratic officials, donors, and activists backed her candidacy, and no serious candidate challenging her bid has emerged. The DNC's push for a virtual roll call aimed at avoiding a Republican-backed legal challenge for ballot access in Ohio, while that also helped speed up the process.
It would be wrong and I think unlawful in accordance to some of these states' rules for a handful of people to go in a back room and switch it out because they don't like the candidate any longer. That's not how this is supposed to work. So I think they would run into some legal impediments in at least a few of these jurisdictions.
Sorry to wipe that patronizing grin off your face, Pip Squeaker of the House, Mike Johnson, but Democratic delegates from across the nation made their voices heard, overwhelmingly backing Vice President Kamala Harris as the Democratic Party's presumptive nominee. DNC Chair Jamie Harrison and DNC's convention chair Minion Moore said in a joint statement, "Our party has met this unprecedented moment with a transparent, democratic, and orderly process to unite behind a nominee with a proven record who will lead us in the fight ahead." Well, here's what they had to say in Chicago on the local TV stations about today's big news and what it means looking ahead into the week coming up.
We've just learned in the last couple of hours that Vice President Kamala Harris will become the official Democratic nominee next Monday, August 5th. The Democratic National Committee announcing tonight that she is the only Democratic candidate who qualifies for the presidential nominating ballot. The virtual roll call process will begin this Thursday and take a few days. Harris has secured the support of 99% of the participating delegates. ABC News also reporting tonight that Harris and her future running mate will crisscross the country together starting next Tuesday. Harris has not announced her VP pick yet, but this means we will know within the coming week. Now here's a look at where they will travel: Western Wisconsin, Detroit, and Philadelphia, all on that list. Harris was out tonight on the campaign trail holding a rally in Atlanta.
And as promised, we also have breaking updates about who Vice President Harris could choose and where and when. Vice President Kamala Harris is expected to announce her running mate by Tuesday, when she will hold her first rally with her pick in Philadelphia. The two will barnstorm cities in 7 swing states in 4 days. In addition to Philadelphia, they'll hit Western Wisconsin, Detroit, Raleigh, Savannah, Phoenix, and Las Vegas. Harris's decision to kick off her tour in the biggest city in Pennsylvania is sure to set off speculation about her vice presidential pick. One of the top contenders being vetted by Harris's team is Josh Shapiro, the governor of the swing state. If Harris chooses Shapiro as her running mate, Philadelphia would make an obvious place to roll out that news, given that he hails from the area's suburbs. But it's also a diverse, voter-rich city that every presidential nominee must tend to, thanks to the state's 19 electoral votes, and it's possible Harris's plans don't signal anything beyond that. So now the big question remaining is who will go with Vice President Harris to Chicago to stand side by side in the eyes of history? Well, it's been an embarrassment of riches when it comes to her choices for vice president, especially by comparison. So with this news, we can tackle the middle of this crazy week with the fear of fait accompli fascism momentarily in the past and the hope of a future wave of momentum strong enough to secure democracy with maybe a little splash left over to douse the flames of division, hate, and intolerance that have engulfed the Republican Party. Well, maybe, but I'm not holding my breath.